So first, the message of the week, I'm going to share a story that's been coming up. Because this card by Yannick Silver, mentor of mine, leader of the Mavericks, I've mentioned him before, and I'll definitely mention him again. He has this deck of cosmic journey cards, they're called. And the way I look at these are a way to get guidance from, say, the higher power or our inner self, our true self. And one of the cards is you cannot pour from an empty cup. And this has been a theme that's been coming up for myself and others. And I'll just share a story is for right now, what I'm going through is there's a lot of excitement for what I'm building, like and with the team, what we're building here, with the software, with the webinars, uh, the webinar marketplace. There's a lot of excitement, and I've definitely allowed my schedule to get more full than I'm used to. And what I realized as I was giving a soul contract session to a friend is that I was starting to run on empty. I was giving, 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 and a mindset shift happened for me that I'd like to share is that in my calendar, I have mornings blocked off and I have certain days blocked off. And those are my days. And what I noticed is that like in the mornings, I have it written as morning freedom, but it was easy for me to schedule over on that. And we have Jolene here as well. Welcome, welcome. And so a shift that I've been really thinking about is, oh, we got Jarrett here as well. Awesome. Fantastic. Hello, Jarrett. Yeah, I've been looking at, instead of just having, I've just been looking at like, okay, if I have a session scheduled in my calendar, I'm not going to miss it. Like I'm going to show up time, I'm going to prepare for it. But when it came to, say, the time for myself to fill my own cup, it's pretty easy for me to be like, well, this person's really excited to talk. Let's schedule this time. Or really, there's the time, there's a lot of energy momentum. Let's schedule this time. And what I noticed, I've just been just scheduling over myself with my own time. And for me, it just seems like, okay, that's okay. But when I think about it as if, hey, if that was a session time with somebody else, I wouldn't overschedule them. I wouldn't even think twice about it. So that's been a reframe for me that I'd like to share because it's relevant, it's in the air this week, is that's what I'm reflecting on is, okay, how can I make sure that that time is a session for myself and it's filling up my cup? And that can look like, say, going to the pool, going for walks, or just exploring interesting time to look at YouTube videos or books. And so that's what I'd like to just lead off today is how does that connect with you? Say, what do you do for filling your own cup? And especially why this is relevant to this journey of Happy Hero is like, there's times where I've launched things and there hasn't been, say, excitement, energy. And there's times with this where there's so much tidal waves of energy of just like people excited about it. So what I noticed myself starting to get lost in that wave and then not filling up my own cup. And so that's my question to just connect with this first message is, do you feel right now in this week, in the last couple of weeks, do you feel like you've been filling up your own cup with lights you up? Or have you been getting stretched a little thin with the giving to others? So if you're open to sharing, feel free to share in the comments of, do you feel like your cup's pretty full right now, or is there some areas, does it have some room to grow? And as you're sharing that, the interesting thing is that this is like, the more we have attention to fill up our cup as we go, yeah, Darla, the share is always slammed. Yeah, it's what I've noticed is for people with a heart for service, it's easy, and there's a lot of causes. There's a lot of people that can use the support, and the road this leads us down is to burnout. And burnout, yeah. And as the interesting thing is that we care about service so much, yet when we're given from an empty cup, we don't have as much to give as we usually do. I noticed for myself as I was, even last night, I was like, oh man, I'm feeling like just a little, I don't know, not angry or mad, but just a little like perturbed. I felt perturbed that like my time was getting out of the zone that it's used to. And really, the only person is me. I'm scheduling my own calendar. So yeah, so that's really the thing of like, how can I feel charged up so I show up to every call, everything with that overflowing energy. And Jolene shares that the balance isn't that far off pursuing to current habits. You get back to things like, yeah, meditating regularly, massaging on a regular basis. Yeah, Darla's super high energy. Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. What I've noticed too is like, just from my own personal experience with others, is if we're doing work where we're not bringing in our passion and our purpose, it's like easy to go on autopilot for me. It's like, okay, there's a certain threshold of just doing it. But what I've noticed for myself and others, like when we start bringing in our passion, there's just like a higher level of energy that comes through. And that can be hard on the body. That can be hard on our body. It's like, whoa. And then especially visions come through, new collaborations comes through, and it can be like a bunch of electricity going through the body. I know that's what it's felt for me. There's a certain thing that I do just like blasted in my aura because there's too much in my like body. It's just like, oh, this is too much. Christy shares that, yeah, her cup is getting full after a lot of hard work, after many years of it being bone dry. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing is like, for us to be of most service, we're giving from a full cup. And say entrepreneurial ethos is just like grind, incessantly grind, without realizing that that's decreases productivity. And now all the studies are coming out with flow state and they're like, wow, go figure. Happier, healthier people are more efficient and productive. Like when a person has a clear mind, they can actually make better decisions. Who would have thought? So yeah, with this theme of today, I just love that to be encouragement, validation of this concept, because then that allows us to be more effective with our gifts. Because if we're the happy hero that's like doesn't ever fill our cup, it's like never taking the cape off for a day, and just always another battle. Okay. The second piece for the theme of the week that's come through is celebrating. And I'd like to share a little story on this because I was actually speaking with one of our members, Naya, and yeah, she was just sharing her principles that's allowed her to create a great amount of wealth in real estate and really approaching it from an inner game, a spiritual game, rather than just the left brain like super numbers game. Like that's important in a sprinkle. And really what she was talking about is this triad of three things. And the reason why I share this, because I've heard, maybe you've heard before too, like this concept of celebrating is good, right? Maybe you've heard that like, hey, we need to celebrate our wins. Let's celebrate our wins. And like, I don't know about you, but for me, my left brain is always just be like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, yeah, I guess it makes sense, but And then I'd read spiritual books that would talk about like it raises your frequency to be in that joy. And you get access to more efficient thoughts, creativity. I'm like, okay, I think that makes sense to me, but I'm still not like feeling it, And I don't know about you either, but having a mind that sees visions, it's like it's so easy for me to compare myself to the next version, the next iteration, incessantly, on and on and on to infinity. And that just always creates a feeling of just never enough, never good enough. So while I've understood, and I do that in quotes, the need, the value for celebration, I've never felt it. My left brain's like, yeah, okay, I don't buy it. So as I was speaking with Naya, and she was sharing her 3 key points for that inner game of prosperity to shine through in everything that we do, the first piece that leads the way is love. Where does the love want to go? Where does it want to flow? And this webinar, I feel like this is a product of that. That's where the love wanted to flow through me to share this with more people. And that's what happened. So having that of being, okay, where does the love want to flow? Because that's the natural path. And then this piece is service. So, okay, what's the mechanism that we can share that? And I'm all about, leverage with that mechanism, what creates freedom. Doing, more in your zone of genius and less without. And the third piece is confidence. Confidence. Because we got to have the confidence to follow that feeling, to reach out to that person, to take action on that intuitive nudge that might be subtle, that might be counterintuitive at times. And that's what she was sharing, is that celebration is the key to the confidence. Celebration is the key to the confidence. Because if we are always comparing ourselves, like myself, to the future, it's like that's not a very confident place to be in. Because there's always a better iteration, another deal. And that's what's shared too, is like then that's easy for us to get in our own way. Maybe we have the intuitive nudge to give something to somebody or to reach out to somebody that we haven't talked to, just for whatever reason. That's where the love wanted to go. But then maybe we get in our own head of, well, I haven't accomplished this yet, or I haven't done this yet, or I haven't, cue the scroll and putting it down, never-ending list. Yet at the same time, our friends and family are like, hey, what are you talking about? Like, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. So that's what finally clicked for me in an instant. I'm like, oh, celebration is key to the confidence. And celebrating those small wins along the way helps us feel the confidence that we have. So I've been looking at it in a new lens, and I'm, with these messages of the week and sharing with what's coming up. And yeah, as I've shared before, I don't come here as a perfect person, and I never will be. And God, that sounds like a horrible existence to be perfect, anyways, because the responsibility and and how do you have friends, because who wants to hang out with someone who's always perfect? So yeah, just let me know in the chat of how that connects with you. Is like celebrating those steps along the journey, the wins that you do have, as a piece to connect to your confidence, ignite your confidence. Yeah, Jared says, it's good and not easy to do naturally. Yeah, it's funny that we definitely have an American culture. Like, American culture is definitely a thing, and that's come up a couple times in conversation. I think maybe even at the charity deal, Jared. But yeah, it's like certain other cultures are more chill, and one of the good things and the bad things about American culture, double-sided coin, is more, 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 more. That helps us innovate into new places like never before. Yet as a culture, that's the dark side of never having a cup that's full. Yeah, Jolene connects with that. Makes more sense. Makes sense. Absolutely. And yeah, Jared, always striving for the next thing. So that's the thing too, is I feel like we're all innovators in this group. There's an innovation mind. And I think that's the thing that we can just be mindful of each other, is like, okay, we're going to be innovating. That's great. And let's not forget to celebrate the wins along the way and fill our cup as well. And then we can innovate better. There we go. So fantastic. Let's see. So before we go into the facilitation, just messed up on my words right there. The facilitation, I'd like to hear is, what's one thing that you can celebrate about yourself? What's one step? And this is, again, connecting to the confidence. And if it's hard to think for yourself, like it is me, maybe you just imagine your best friend or a good friend. If they were looking at you right now, what's one thing that they would celebrate and be like, you know what, like that's a great move that you took. And if you feel comfortable sharing, welcome to share in the chat. Yeah, living boldly, says Jarrett. Riley says, your honesty and emotional intelligence. Honesty is it's a hard thing for us humans, I feel like. I'm really making a point of being open more and more and more. So yeah, being honest in today's world is, and like open of how you're feeling, is a unique thing. And Jared says living boldly, and I gotta show this. So this is a reminder that I have on my desk to live boldly, live authentically, like live your true self and just be that. Is this little band from Prince. So my Master Council Mastermind group, we had our quarterly mastermind in Minnesota this time. So we took a trip to Paisley Park, Prince's home, and the whole theme was this is somebody who lived their true self and lived boldly. And it's polarizing, people either vibe with it or they don't, but it's an example of authenticity turned up. So that's my reminder to just be a true self and be bold with it. Okay. All right, so as the rest of these come in, we're going to go ahead and pause the recording here soon and then go into the facilitation. Jolene shared, yes, traits more than specific accomplishments. Oh, yeah, I love that. I didn't even think about that because, yeah, I feel like I'm a neophyte in the celebration game. So there's things I don't even think about yet. So, yeah, that's a fantastic thing. Accomplishing traits, absolutely. Traits create our character. So generous, forgiving, persistent, absolutely. Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you everybody for having the boldness to share. And now we'll go into our facilitation piece here. So if there's any other comments, go ahead and put them here. Otherwise, I will stop the recording here. And you can go ahead and gently close your eyes, a journey into the subconscious.